This is Johnathan Nelson, and this is Behind the Praise. If I can go way back to the first part of my journey in moving to the music business, I was working for a software engineering company, and they laid the entire office off within one day. Had I not gone through that process, eviction notices, lost 3 cars, 2 cars to bankruptcy, 1 car through repossession. But if I hadn't gone through this season, I would not know how to write songs. This was I would say, one of the darkest seasons of my life. But that darkest season, it produced such great quality. I was able to get quiet. I was able to develop my songwriting skills, and I was able to develop the gift, I guess, that you could say is on the inside of me, and that's why I'm here today. During the same season, my faith was challenged because I'm a pastor's kid. I'm serving, I'm directing choir, I'm leading the music ministry, and I'm in front of people and serving as a source of encouragement for them. But I too need to be encouraged. My faith became stronger because I realized that in this season that God was using me to be a light, to be a tool. And through this journey, it caused me, it was almost like when you begin to work out, it's, you break down the muscle tissues, but you become stronger. I didn't realize what was happening in this season, but one thing I did discover is that my faith became ever so strong. And I wrote a song called Healed. The lyric says, I got a story to tell you about some things that I've been through, but I'm healed. I've had some ups, some downs, level to the ground, but I'm healed. And here's where my faith started becoming stronger. The middle part of the song says, my God has touched me. He delivered. He set my soul free. My heart is mended. I'm whole again. Absolutely no chains are holding me. I'm healed. I'm free. And so through this journey, I learned how to, or should I say through this journey, my faith was increased, and it was a spiritual awakening, I guess you could say. I think one of the, and it's not just in the gospel music community, I think in the African American community, we really do not talk about mental illness. It's like a brushed over kind of a thing in our community. Oh, he's just crazy, but there's something that has triggered that emotion and perhaps a chemical imbalance. I too have dealt with some dark days of depression. I think anybody creative has dark days, but in my darkest day, my faith has remained strong. The underlining theme for me is the joy of the Lord. Joy is ever present. Happiness is temporary, but the joy that God gives me, it remains there. It's a fruit of the Spirit. And so I just try to exude joy in those dark moments. I just try to tap into the joy, try to tap into my faith, but I also rely on the Word. I open up my Bible and I try to find scriptures that are encouraging. The joy of the Lord is my strength. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. I make these daily declarations over myself because I'm living not just to do this work as an artist, but I have a family, I have kids, that I cannot be walking around depressed and discouraged, and so I have to also encourage myself. The Bible talks about David encouraging himself in the Lord. Sometimes you got to have this psychological conversation with yourself, tap yourself on the shoulder like, hey, you got to pick yourself up out of this thing. You got to move on. And then for those that are still experiencing dark times and you haven't gone through a process of deliverance, your own deliverance, I do recommend that you sit down and talk to a counselor, sit down and talk to somebody so that you can find a way to pull yourself out of those dark seasons. One of the greatest blessings in my life was that my father was my pastor. He still is a preacher. And so when he trained myself, I have a twin brother by the name of Jason. He too is a singer, gospel artist. When he trained us in church, what we were doing, it was as unto the Lord. We were providing a service because it was our due diligence. It was our responsibility. And so I never lost sight of that. While I get paid to do what I do, that is not the driving force. Me finding the balance is what God has given me, I know it doesn't belong to me. First of all, it belongs to Him. But what He's given me is to bless people, to inspire people, to encourage people. And so me finding the balance is me always, whenever I mount the stage or whenever I mount a platform, I know that there's somebody out there that is hurting, somebody needs encouragement, somebody needs to be inspired. And so regardless of whatever the pay is, there's a responsibility for me to connect with somebody, to encourage them, and to uplift them and take them to a greater place. What I enjoy most is it doesn't matter what room I'm in, there's always somebody there that I can make some type of eye contact to. There's a child there, there's a young person there, there's an older person there that I know I am blessing. I know when I see the tears flowing, I know that there is a heart-to-heart connection. My mentor is Donald Lawrence, and he says something very simple. Says what comes from the heart speaks to the heart. And so whenever I'm on the stage, I know that I mean it. It's coming from my heart, every fiber of my being. This is what I'm called to do. This is what I'm supposed to do. And so what I do is I just leave it all on the stage. I give everybody 100%. And I just know that they can feel my connection. So what comes from my heart speaks to their heart. And I believe it begins to bless them. And again, begins to uplift them and takes them to a greater place in God or just in their life in general. A couple of years ago, I had another song called I Believe, which is a Caribbean song. That song has taken me across the world, literally across the world. And I began to travel throughout the Caribbean and of course the States, but I was blessed to go to Africa and worship with a lot of African ministries. What people may not know, in Africa, there's such a liberation, a jubilation, a celebration. In whatever room I've been in, I've always seen people get up and dance and celebrate. So I wanted to continue to celebrate that culture, but also if I can say, be a bridge to bridge the gap in America, so Americans can experience the joy and the celebration that I experienced in Africa. And I agree, it really was birthed out of that experience. It is a fun song. It's a song of celebration. It is a song saying that God, whatever your plan is for me, I agree. I do believe that every listener that will hear that song, they'll agree that that you have a purpose, you have a plan, you have a call in your life for whatever it may be. And when you walk out your plan and you walk out, it's a fulfillment that comes over you. And so for me, I just try to tell everybody, it's like when you get your iPhone and you update it, you have to kind of do the check mark, the terms and conditions that apply. For me, when you say I agree, you're clicking the check mark for the terms and the conditions that apply for all of the promises and all of the blessings that God has for you. That's why we keep saying I agree. I keep using these words, and I hate to be redundant, but I have to say it because it's a part of my call. I know that I'm inspired. I know that I'm called to inspire, to encourage, and to empower. God has just given me a gift to write uplifting songs. If you look at my catalog, majority of my songs are songs of declarations, and they're also songs of empowerment. I believe that there's somebody in the room that I'm singing to that I must inspire, a young person, whomever. There's somebody in the room that is going through a dark time. I went through a dark time, and I'm called to encourage them. So I always have a smile in my presence, but I'm also called to empower. I turn the mic towards my audience many times because I want to empower every listener, a believer or a non-believer, a Christian or non-Christian, to sing the lyrics over themselves, because at some point what you begin to say, you'll begin to see what it is that you say. If you keep affirming yourself in a specific direction, you'll begin to manifest what it is that you say. And so that is what the takeaway, the mark, the legacy that I want to leave, that somebody has been empowered, encouraged, and inspired. Empowered to sing these songs and really see a difference, that you know that this tongue is powerful. Life or death is in the power of your tongue. So sing these songs over yourself so that you begin to see the results. Declarations is my brand new CD, by the way. It's available wherever music is sold, digitally, Walmart, and so many other places. My inspiration for this is it was time for me to record another record, and I recorded in two different places. I recorded in my hometown, Baltimore, Maryland, and I also recorded in Sunrise, Florida, which is where I fellowship, a church called the Faith Center. And I wanted to bridge the gap of both of my homes so people can experience kind of like where I am, where I evolved from, where I came from, but kind of like where I am now. And also to hear how my sound musically and production has grown over the years. And so I started writing these songs, and I wrote a song called The Blood, which is talking about Jesus down on the cross and the fact that his blood has cleansed us and washed us. Then I wrote another song called Redeem, and then another song came, and then another song came. And I started realizing that there was this even thread. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't think I've ever written a CD like this where all of the songs just thematically just cross, they're just connected. And so I was just trying to find a way to make the songs make sense. And I was trying to find one word that would just summarize or encapsulate everything that I'm saying. So I started doing some research. I have a single called I Agree. And so I started researching agreement. I looked up the dictionary. I looked up the thesaurus. I looked up synonyms. And I found the word declarations, and the light bulb, like Oprah says, the aha moment. I had the aha moment. I'm like, that is what I'm supposed to say. So Declarations, it is a power-packed CD of songs talking to God, but also a pause to listen to what God is saying back to the people that he created.